Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 4 and will be presenting a familiar topic regarding noun, pronoun, and verb in morphological and syntactic perspectives. Mukhtar and I will share about this topic, but let's take a look at the table of contents. This presentation contains noun and pronoun, the general perspective. After that, noun pronoun in morphological perspective. Then noun pronoun in syntactic perspective. Then we move to verb in general way or perspective. And then verb in morphological and syntactic perspective. In the end, the conclusion and the reference in this presentation. We know that noun and pronoun in grammar almost looks like a friend that back up each other, like the definition itself. Noun are words that name people, things, place, and idea, while pronoun takes the place of noun. So this defined as a backups, buddies. But how about in a deeper level? Let's take a look at the next slide. Here, we will see how morphological perspective of noun and pronoun are viewed. A noun, in morphological, is a lexical category that primarily denotes persons, places, things, or ideas, and its behavior is analyzed in terms of morphology, which is the word. For instance, how its form reflects grammatical information and how it participates in word formation processes. So, we will see how noun actually behave in the word. Pronouns are a set of functionally versatile word forms that encode grammatical information and reference without repeating a noun. Noun and pronoun, of course, have a classification. Let's take a look at noun. In here, we have two classification, number and gender. In number, we have plural and singular. So plural are things or something, the noun itself, that is more than one, while singular is just one, not more than one. It's single, no lover. The example of plural noun are 2 cards, 4 teachers, some mice. You can see the word 2, 4, some. That is a symbol of plural noun. Other than that, there is also an addition, a suffixes that adds in the base noun of card, teachers, like s in the end of card. Also the s in the end of teacher. While singular is just the base noun, like car, bike, house, doctor, Tia, and whiteboard. Well, let's see. In gender. In gender, noun, we have feminine and masculine. Feminine are focused on female gender, while masculine are focused in the male gender. Let's take a look at the example of a person and animal in each of this gender. For person, in feminine, queen, girl, woman, mother, actress, while animal, hen, and tigress. That's for feminine. While masculine, in the person we got king, boy, man, actor, father. While animal, tiger, rooster. That's for the classification of noun. Well, pronoun we have 4, which is possessive, demonstrative, reflexive, and interrogative. In possessive is the pronoun that shows belonging. Like, this pen is mine. Oh, that bag is yours. His, hers, ours, theirs are possessive pronoun. While demonstrative is demonstrating something or somewhere. Like, this road is in the map. That car is so cool. These and those are demonstrative. The third one is reflexive. Reflexive, the word will always have an N with self or selves with a V. Like yourselves, yourself, himself, herself, itself, ourselves, and themselves. And the fourth, interrogative. You're questioning something, someone, somewhere. Like, who is that person? What is the definition of something? Whose, which, and whom are interrogative. Now, we already see what is the example of word in noun and pronoun classification. How about the sentence? So let's see the sentence identification of these two bodies. Let's see in singular. Example of a sentence: some stoves run on gas while others run on electricity. In here we can see the noun gas and electricity is single. There's no addition of suffixes as in the end. There's no addition of numbers. While in plural, let's take a look at the sentence and identify. The dogs chased the cats across the yard while the children watched. You see, the noun dogs, cats, yachts, and children are plural. Because you see the symptom there. The end of dog, there is a suffixes of s, cat and yachts too, and children. Wait, why children a plural noun? Well, children are the plural noun. Well, a child is the singular noun. That's why children, the word children in here are plural noun. Then we will look at feminine and masculine. For feminine, the sentence: the groom will make his speech after the bride has changed her outfit. And here we can see the feminine noun is bride, while in masculine, the word groom is masculine noun. If you start questioning why the word his and her not the part of feminine or masculine noun, well, his and her is a part of pronoun, is not in noun. So what is the classification for his and her in pronoun? Well, the classification for his and her is possessive. Brilliant. Let's take a view in pronoun now. For example, in sentence possessive, this book is mine. Look, It just tells you the belonging of the book, which is mine. Mine is the possessive pronoun. While demonstrative, the sentence, these are delicious. It just tells you that the food that was eaten by someone are delicious. That's demonstrative. While reflexive, the sentence, he prepared himself, which means it indicates the person is preparing himself. Is a guy, is a man. And the last one is interrogative. The sentence, what do you want to be when you grow up? The word what is interrogative pronoun. It's asking something, someone. That's the example sentence identification that we can look. But let's see more further on the identification. In here we can see the sentence, I would like you to see and process. After that, identify which one is the pronoun and noun in terms of the classification that I had explained. So let's see the sentence. Let's read it together. Who sees that man and those women taking care of themselves with their own tools? I will give you 10 seconds. And start now. Alright, 10 seconds is up. So, here are the explanation. You see the answer below the sentences? Below the sentence? Yeah, that's right. So, in here, the word who is classifies in the interrogative pronoun. And then the word man and women is classified in singular noun and plural noun, feminine and masculine noun. For that and those are classified in demonstrative pronoun, while themselves classifies in reflexive pronoun, and the last but not least, possessive pronoun, the word there in the sentence. So that's how you identify in a morphological way. That's all for the activity in the noun pronoun viewed in morphology. Now let's take a look at the syntactic perspective of noun and pronoun. So in this slide, we will focus on the sentence, not the word anymore. In syntactic perspective, noun is a word or phrase that functions as the head of a noun phrase, while pronouns are syntactic substitutes for noun phrases that can fulfill the same functions as nouns in sentences. Let's see the classification for noun and pronoun in syntactic perspective. In noun, we can see there's one classification, which is noun phrase. What is noun phrase? A group of words that acts in the same way as a noun. So it means that the noun phrase actually make the noun much more detailed, not just talking about the noun itself, but when we add the noun phrase, the word phrase there, that makes the noun much more variety. It elaborate more variety in the sentence. And the structure is, of course, we have pre-modified first, after that the head noun, and lastly post-modified. What is pre-modified? Well, in pre-modified there are always a determiner and adjective, while in post-modified is the prepositional phrase. So the prepositional phrase actually tells the position of the head noun, and the pre-modified, how does it located in the sentence. It just gives you the direction of which the noun was directed to. While the pronoun here replacing noun. What does it mean by replacing noun? Why does the noun need to be replaced? Well, the pronoun is acting as a stand-in, so the noun doesn't have to be repeated in the sentence. So let's just take a look at the example right away so we can together understand. In the example, we can see there's an original sentence and it sounds like this: the table was sold. So here the noun is table. But if we add the noun phrase, it becomes much more detailed. And it sounds like this: the large brown antique table with a crack down the middle was sold. So in here there is three structure that was included. There is a determiner, which is the, and then large brown antique, all is adjective. And this is the pre-modified, while the table here are the head noun. And then lastly, with the crack down the middle, this one is the post-modified, because it just tells the position, or the position of the table itself. It is cracked down the middle, the position of that large brown antique table, like that. And when we see the pronoun here, it was sold. So the pronoun that replaces the noun in the original sentence is the word it. So the word it in pronoun refers to the noun table, like that. Let's take a look again in the example in the sentence, but this one is much more longer. So in here we're also going to identify the pre-modifiers, head noun, and post-modification plus the pronoun. And the sentence sounds like this: the clever young teacher who gave the lecture explained it truly. And in here there's a pre-modified, which is the word the, clever, and young. Not and, but the word young, clever, the. This one included determiner and adjective. And then the head noun here is, of course, the teacher. And the post-modification, which is the post-modifiers, is the word who gave the lecture. This one is the prepositional phrase. It tells the position of the clever young teacher. And the pronoun that was included in the sentence is the word it. Like that.
Okay, Miss Tia, thanks for your explanation. Then we will next to another topic about verb in morphological and syntax perspective. Okay. Before we learn about that, we need to know first, what is verb? Verb is a word that shows an action, state, or event. Without a verb, a sentence is not complete. Verb adalah kata yang menunjukkan tindakan, keadaan, atau peristiwa. Tanpa verb, sebuah kalimat tidak bisa dikatakan lengkap. There we know for the definition, verb itu inti dari sebuah kalimat. Karena verb yang menentukan apakah sebuah kalimat ini that have a meaning or haven't. For the example, she happy. It's not a complete sentence because there is no verb yang menjelaskan hubungan antara subjek dan keadaan. Setelah kita tambahkan verb is di bawahnya itu, baru kita bisa mengartikan ini sebagai kalimat yang benar. She is happy. Oke, next slide. Verb types. Jadi di sini verbs terbagi menjadi 3 tipe. Yang pertama ada main verb, lexical verb, main verb that bring lexical meaning, membawa makna utama, yang membawa makna leksikal. Kemudian auxiliary verb, help from tense or aspect, membantu membentuk tense atau aspek. And the last, modal verb, shows possibility, obligation, and ability, menunjukkan kemungkinan, kewajiban, atau kemampuan. Jadi main verb adalah verb utama yang membawa makna leksikal, dan auxiliary verb adalah verb that help to create tense atau aspek. Kemudian modal verbs shows kemungkinan, kemampuan, atau kewajiban. Jadi kita butuh 3 jenis verb ini supaya bisa membentuk kalimat lengkap dengan tense yang benar. Main verb memberi makna inti seperti run, eat, atau study. Kemudian auxiliary verb like be, do, have digunakan untuk membentuk struktur seperti progressive, perfect, or negative. For example, she is running. Kemudian modal verb seperti can, will, or must memberi makna tambahan seperti ability atau necessity. Struktur seperti is, running, atau have eaten tidak akan bisa membentuk tanpa auxiliary. Begitu juga kalimat seperti he can swim tidak akan bisa menyampaikan kemampuan tanpa modal. Yang mana can di situ sebagai modalnya, menunjukkan kebisaan, kemampuan kita. Begitu. Okay, next. The next slide. Verbs from a morphological perspective. The morphological perspective explain how verbs change their form through inflection and derivation to show tense, aspect, person, and number. This change affect grammatical meaning but not the word class. For the example, walk, walks, walk, walk, and walking. Dari perspektif morfologi, verb berubah bentuk melalui inflection dan derivation untuk menunjukkan tense, aspek, orang, atau jumlah. Perubahan bentuk ini tidak mengubah kelas kata. Walk tetap verb dalam semua bentuknya. Kemudian morfologi fokus pada bagaimana bentuk berubah untuk memberikan informasi gramatikal, bukan makna leksikal. Okay, next slide. In English, verbs have 5 main forms. Base form for the infinitive of or imperative, S form for third person singular, the past form for the simple past, the ing form for the progressive aspect, and the past participle form for perfect tense or passive sentence. For the example, I play football, she plays football, they have played football. Jadi setiap bentuk punya fungsi masing-masing. Base itu sebagai infinitive or imperative. Kemudian as subjek orang ketiga tunggal. Kemudian past, simple past. Kemudian strip ing itu progressive. Kemudian past participle itu perfect and passive. Di slide ini menekankan bahwa bentuk berbeda muncul karena fungsi gramatikalnya berbeda juga. Oke, next slide. Inflection and derivation. Jadi morfologi dalam linguistik itu punya dua proses utama, yaitu inflection, and derivation, yang memiliki fungsi dan hasil yang berbeda. Inflection change verb form for tense or agreement. For the example, talk, talks, talked, and talking. Inflection itu mengubah bentuk kata tanpa mengubah kelas katanya. Sedangkan derivation add prefix or suffix to create a new word. For the example, act to be action, and beauty menjadi beautify. Jadi derivasi itu proses pembentukan kata baru dengan menambahkan afiks yang dapat mengubah makna substansialnya atau kelas kata dari bentuk dasarnya. Ya, sebagai contoh, act menjadi action itu dari verb menjadi noun, kemudian beauty menjadi beautify itu from noun to be verb. Inflection mempertahankan kelas kata, sedangkan derivation bisa mengubahnya. Contoh itu tadi action berubah menjadi verb ke noun. Ini menunjukkan dua proses morfologi yang berbeda, baik secara prosesnya, fungsinya, dan juga maknanya. Morphologically, verbs change through inflection and derivation. Okay, next slide about agreement and morphosyntax. Morphosyntax show how the morphological form of a verb change according to its syntactic role, such as tense, aspect, and subject-verb agreement. Agreement dan morfosintak menunjukkan bagaimana bentuk verb berubah karena peran sintaksisnya dalam kalimat. Misalnya tense, aspect, dan subject-verb agreement. For the example, she walks to school. The verb walks has s because the subject she is third person singular. Jadi verb walks di sini memiliki akhiran s bukan karena kebetulan saja, tetapi karena aturan sintaks, yaitu subjeknya subject verb agreement. Subjeknya she yang termasuk third person singular. Jadi secara morfologi verbs harus menyesuaikan ke aturan sintaknya, begitu. Ini artinya morfologi itu tidak bekerja sendirian, tapi dia juga mengikuti rules yang ada pada sintak. Explanation. This example show that verb from morphology are shaped by their grammatical function in sentence. The form change, but the function stay connect. That's what we call morphosyntax. Okay, next slide. Syntactic perspective. In syntax, a verb functions as the predicate and acts as the core of a clause, determining how many and what kind of element, such as object, or complement appear in the sentence, a property known as valency. Dalam sintak, verb berfungsi sebagai predikat dan menjadi inti dari suatu klausa. Verbs membentuk beberapa banyak dan jenis elemen apa saja, seperti objek atau komplement, yang harus muncul dalam kalimat, dan ini biasa disebut valency. Dan example and explanation. Number 1. Intransitive verbs. He sleeps. The verb sleeps stand alone. It doesn't need an object. Jadi sleep hanya butuh satu argumen, yaitu subjek, karena tindakannya tidak mengarah ke objek apapun. Kalimat seperti he sleeps sudah lengkap tanpa tambahan lain. Kemudian number 2, transitive verbs. She reads a book. The verb reads requires an object, a book, to complement its meaning. Transitive verbs. Contohnya read, verb ini butuh satu objek agar maknanya utuh. Kalau kita hanya bilang she reads, itu terasa janggal gitu loh. Kayak reads apa? Itu terasa janggal karena pembacaan, kalau kita proses membaca itu selalu diarahkan ke sesuatu, membaca apa. Jadi kita tambahkan objek a book sehingga menjadi she reads a book. Then number 3, the transitive verbs. They gave me a gift. The verb gave tag to object, me indirect, and a gift direct. A gift. Verb ini menarik dua objek sekaligus, objek langsung dan objek tidak langsung. Misalnya ini tadi contohnya they gave me a gift. A gift adalah direct object dan me adalah indirect object. Keduanya dibutuhkan agar maknanya bisa lengkap. And the last one, number 4, linking verb. She is a teacher. The verb is connects the subject she with the complement a teacher. Jadi yang terakhir ini ada linking verbs seperti is yang tidak menunjukkan aksi tetapi menghubungkan subjek dengan informasi tentang dirinya. Misalnya itu tadi she is a teacher. Verb is menghubungkan subjek dengan komplement yang mendeskripsikan identitasnya. Bagian ini slide ini menunjukkan bagaimana verb mengatur seluruh struktur kalimat. Dengan memahami valensi, kita bisa memprediksi elemen apa saja yang wajib ada di sebuah klausa. Ini akan memudahkan kita untuk memahami bagaimana kalimat dibangun dan bagaimana verb bekerja tidak hanya sebagai kata, tetapi sebagai pusat dari struktur sintaksis. Okay, next slide about verb, phrase, or VP. Verb phrase. A verb phrase is a unit with the verb as a head. This means that the verb is the center and other element just follow the verb. Jadi verb phrase adalah frasa yang kepala atau pusatnya adalah verb. Artinya verb itu menjadi inti di frasa ini dan elemen lainnya hanya mengikuti verb tersebut. Kalau tadi kita sudah lihat bentuk verb dari sisi morfologi dan fungsi verb dari sisi sintaksi, sekarang kita melihat bagaimana verb membentuk satu kesatuan yang disebut phrase. Dalam sintak, phrase itu adalah unit yang lebih besar dari kata. Dan di dalam phrase selalu ada satu kata yang menjadi kepala atau pusat. Nah, untuk verb phrase tentu saja yang menjadi head-nya ini adalah verb. Kemudian apapun bentuk phrase-nya, selama verb yang menjadi kepala, dia tetap disebut verb phrase. Elemen lain seperti objek, adverbial, atau prepositional phrase hanya ikut membentuk makna, tetapi semuanya tetap berada di bawah kontrol verb sebagai pusatnya. Sebagai contoh, yang pertama ada run. Kalau kita hanya punya kata run, itu sudah termasuk verb phrase karena verb berdiri sebagai head. Kemudian yang kedua, eat dinner. Kalau verb diikuti oleh objek seperti itu tadi, eat dinner, itu juga verb phrase because headnya it's still eat. Then number 3 is studying English. Struktur yang lebih kompleks seperti is studying English. It's also verb phrase because terdiri dari auxiliary, main verb, object. Tetapi pusatnya tetap di verb studying itu tadi. Kemudian contoh yang paling lengkap, the most complete in this slide is number 5. Put the book on the table. Terdiri dari verb, direct object, and prepositional phrase sebagai adverbial. Walaupun strukturnya panjang, selama headnya adalah put, itu tetap menjadi verb phrase. From this verb phrase, we can see how morphology and syntax work together. Morphology determines the form of the verb. It is the base form, ing or past participle, and then syntax determines what follow the verb based on valency. Then the two come together to form a phrase that can be used as the core predicate in a sentence. Melalui verb phrase ini, kita bisa melihat bagaimana morfologi dan sintaks bekerja sama. Morfologi menentukan bentuk verbnya, apakah dia base form, ing, atau past participle. Kemudian sintaks menentukan apa saja yang mengikuti verb berdasarkan valency. Lalu keduanya menyatu membentuk phrase yang bisa dipakai sebagai inti predikat dalam sebuah kalimat. All of the above are verb phrase because the verb is the main element that determine the form of the overall phrase. Okay, next, the last slide is conclusion. In conclusion, nouns, pronouns, and verbs can be understood from both morphological and syntactic perspective. Morphologically, nouns and pronouns show grammatical information through number and gender, while pronouns also appear in different categories such as possessive, reflexive, demonstrative, and interrogative. Syntactically, noun function as the head of a noun phrase, and pronoun act as substitutes for noun phrase with the same grammatical rules. Jadi secara morfologi, noun dan pronoun menunjukkan informasi gramatikal seperti jumlah, singular or plural, dan gender. Sedangkan pronoun juga memiliki beberapa kategori seperti possessive, refleksif, demonstratif, dan interrogatif. Secara sintaktis, noun berfungsi sebagai head dalam noun phrase, dan pronoun menggantikan noun phrase dengan fungsi gramatikal yang sama. For verbs, morphology explain how verb form change through inflection, walk, walks, walked, walking, and derivation, like beauty, to be beautified. Syntactically, verb function as the predicate and determine the structure of a clause through valency, forming verb phrase such as is studying or have been working. Jadi untuk yang verb Morfologi menjelaskan bagaimana bentuk kata kerja berubah melalui infleksi, walking seperti contohnya tadi, kemudian derivation, beauty menjadi beautify. Secara sintaksi, verb berfungsi sebagai predikat dan menentukan struktur sebuah klausa melalui valensi, serta membentuk verb phrase seperti is studying atau have been working. Overall, the interaction between morphology and syntax known as morphosyntax. So how words from morphology connect to their function in a sentence. Syntax. Secara keseluruhan, hubungan antara morfologi dan sintaksi yang disebut morfosintak menunjukkan bagaimana bentuk kata atau morfologi berkaitan dengan fungsinya dalam kalimat, yaitu sintak.